Hey, good morning once again to all of you, and welcome to our second last seminar for this semester, Seminar 9 on transnational crimes in PNG. You can also say transnational organized crimes in PNG, because most of the transnational crimes are more organized. There's a structure and there's a system in place. So we're in week 12 now, and this is our second last seminar. And today we have 7 presenters who will be leading us or sharing their answers to the questions to help us understand transnational crimes and how PNG is ranked in the past week and globally as well, and how it's connected to maritime security and other security um, issues in the country. So we'll start off with Mrs. Alison Quintao representing Group 1, then we'll move on to Mr. Ipili Torovi representing Group 5. After Group 5 and Mr. Torovi, we'll move on to Ms. Galele, will be representing Group 6, Modi. After Ms. Galele, we'll have Ms. Huro representing Group 4. And then we will listen to Mr. Marcos representing Group 3. And finally, we will listen to Ms. Vogao representing Group 7 and conclude with Ms. Inangui, who will be representing Group 2. So without further delay, I'll hand over the virtual microphone to Ms. Quintao to start the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Yegior and my fellow courses. To begin my group's presentation, I first would like to define 2 key terms I'm sure you all are familiar with since we started this seminar, and I will also give an explanation. So the first term is the transnational crime, which refers to criminal activities that extend beyond borders, boundaries, and jurisdictions and countries or nations, according to MELPA 2024. The other term is Blue Security, which is a program that engages and facilitates high-quality research on issues of critical maritime security across the Indo-Pacific, as highlighted by La Trobe University. Okay, the other term that I'd like to explain before presenting is the Global Organized Crime Index 2021. It's primarily a data-driven analytical tool designed to assess levels of organized crime, providing a comprehensive assessment of criminal markets, the dynamics of criminal actors, countries' effectiveness in establishing necessary defense mechanisms and responses to operational resilience against organized crimes. So under this index, 193 countries were assessed under this global organized crime index using 4 vulnerability classifications to interpret their criminality and resilience nexus. So this 4-1 is low criminality and high resilience. 50 countries in the index showed with economic capacity have built effective resilience frameworks to respond to crime within their borders, meeting international standards. Number 2 of this classification is low criminality and low resilience, which 77 countries have minimal organized crime threats and resilience efforts, which are directed towards prevention. And 3, high criminality and high resilience, meaning 9 countries, according to that index, which have high levels of crime that have also developed robust frameworks or mechanisms to counter those organized crimes in those 9 countries. And majority of these 9 countries are economic powerhouses in their respective regions. And number 4, in which PNG is high criminality and low resilience. So 57 countries, including Papua New Guinea, exhibit significant vulnerabilities to organized crime, deficiency in resilience capacity, which makes them vulnerable to criminal dynamics with long-term economic and social impacts. So to our statement for Seminar 9, it reads, according to the Global Organized Crime Index, high levels of criminality in countries like PNG are exacerbated by limited resilience to transnational crime. So the first question is, how do these vulnerabilities, particularly in maritime zone, intersect with Yegior's emphasis on blue security? And what measures can PNG take to enhance its maritime security against organized crimes such as illegal fishing and smuggling? So the responses by group one are in two, because we broke the questions into two. So the first question is, how do these vulnerabilities, particularly in maritime zones, interact with the various emphasis on blue security? So Papua New Guinea faces heightened levels of criminality that's exacerbated by its limited resilience to transnational crime, particularly in its vast maritime zones, according to Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crimes 2023. These vulnerabilities intersect with Yogira's 2022 emphasis on blue security, which advocates for integrated management of maritime resources and strengthening of ocean governance to safeguard national and regional security. Now, blue security highlights the protection of maritime domain, addressing not only environmental risks, but also unconventional security threats of illegal fishing, piracy, trafficking, and maritime crime. So PNG's susceptibility to transnational crimes, especially within its maritime zones, stems from its inadequate maritime governance, permeable borders, and insufficient enforcement capabilities, which Yegira's idea of blue security tackles by promoting better regional collaboration, enhanced monitoring, and coordinated efforts that link maritime protection with the caring for the environment. Now, question 2, what measures can PNG take to enhance its maritime security against organized crime, such as illegal fishing and smuggling? The group came up with some measures which they think PNG must implement to have a comprehensive maritime security strategy, and strengthening interagencies is essential for a cohesive national response. So one of these measures that they propose is the National Maritime Strategy. They believe that strengthening maritime security will guide PNG security authorities to navigate through maritime challenges without depending on unplanned foreign partnerships. 2 is investment in technologies like satellite monitoring systems, drones, or coastal radar installations to enhance detection and deterrence capabilities. Now, such systems will enable agencies like NMSA, the National Maritime Safety Authority, to effectively monitor and track on real-time movement of vessels, detect illegal activities, assist in search and rescue operations, mitigate risks of shipping-related incidences along our coastal or island community areas, and protect our marine environment. And C is utilizing current regional cooperation, and these are corporations like the Pacific Island Forum Fisheries Agency, the Quadrilateral Defense Cooperation Group, and the Pacific Maritime Security Program to facilitate intelligence sharing and joint maritime patrols. We believe that the initiative will support PNG secure its vast exclusive economic zone, counter transnational crime, and most importantly, protect its marine resources. And D is strengthening marine law enforcement. And this should be done by way of increasing funding and resources for both our major security agencies like the Papua New Guinea Defense Force, particularly its maritime element, and the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, its maritime division, to conduct regular patrols and operations. E is public awareness and involve community. So the conduct of awareness campaigns to educate coastal communities about the impacts of illegal fishing and smuggling, and involvement of local communities in reporting suspicious activities will help in the protection of our marine resources. And F, enforcement of international agreements. So Papua New Guinea should be encouraged to enforce such agreements like the Port State Measures Agreement, which PNG recently joined to prevent illegal, unreported, and unregulated IUU fishing by inspecting foreign vessels and ensuring compliance with sustainable fishing practices. So that's what the Group 1 has come about for our presentation this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Group 1, and thank you, Ms. Quintao. We'll now move on to our next presenter, Mr. Torovi. So once again, thank you, Mrs. Quintao and your group. A very interesting presentation. I hope you took note of the points that they have shared with us, and we'll continue our discussion in the discussion forum. Mr. Torovi, please go ahead. I believe Mr. Torovi has an issue with his speaker. Sorry, not speaker, microphone. And he has moved to join Ms. Galele, so give him a bit of time.
Okay. Good morning, class and Mr. Okay. I will be present on behalf of Group 5 for... That's why. Sorry. Mister, can someone present? I'll try to fix this issue first.
Okay. We can move on to Modi. Are you still experiencing the same problem?
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, then I'll start. Good morning, Mr. Yeager and fellow colleagues. I will be presenting Seminar 9 on behalf of Group 6. In this week's seminar, the discussion will be centered around Topic 5, which is transnational crime in PNG. Elaborating on Topic 5, this presentation will be based on Chapter 13 of the book titled Blue Security in the Indo-Pacific, a chapter written by Mr. Bernard Yeager, found in the required readings. The question statement given to us reads, human trafficking is one of the most pervasive transnational crimes globally, as noted in the index. Now, how does this issue intersect with Yeager's Blue Security Framework, and what measures can PNG adopt to safeguard its maritime borders against the trafficking networks? So before moving on to the discussion, I would like to bring light to you all on two key concepts outlined in the question statement. Firstly, transnational crime. According to the National Security Policy, transnational crime is one of the biggest single threats to global, regional, and national security. It threatens peace, human security, and the development of societies. These transnational crimes include human smuggling, trafficking of persons, mostly women for sexual exploitation, arms and drug trafficking, women money laundering, and illegal currency exports, among others. So in essence, they are crimes committed across borders. As per the definition of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, human trafficking refers to a global crime that trades in people and exploits them for profit. These victims are people of all genders, ages, and background in every region of the world. The traffickers use violence, fraudulent employment agencies, and fake promises of education or job opportunities to coerce their victims. Now, this implies that the traffickers, they target the desperate, poor, dysfunctional, and abandoned populace. They are trafficked for mainly sexual exploitation and forced labor. So secondly, what is Jaegera's Blue Security Framework? So this Blue Security Framework is directed at the marine environment and every issue pertaining to it. The chapter states that the country has and is actively experiencing a complex nation of blue security issues. It does not have the capacity and capability to address them, and thus this framework outlines how this can be done. Therefore, the chapter is broken down into three main parts explaining this framework. Part one, mapping out the blue security interests of the country, referencing them in order of priority. And two, listing the strategies developed by the country to achieve its interests via national legislations and policy. Three, identifying gaps in strategies and discussing improvements, finishing off with some recommendations. So moreover, according to Swanson and Bunga, 2024, Australia is a tempting target and around the region as well for transnational crime syndicates with soaring demand for illicit drugs and high street value for methamphetamine and cocaine. So that's part of transnational crime. Now, PNG has been caught up in some extraordinary headlines in recent years as traffickers attempt to bring illicit substances into Australia and around the region as well. So this is another reason why the framework is important. Moving on to answers that we discussed as a group to the given question statement. Now we discussed and we broke the statement into two parts. So part one is, how does human trafficking intersect with Jaegera's Blue Security Framework? First of all, blue security is essentially to do with the sea and the marine environment, right? So Papua New Guinea is an island nation surrounded by the sea and blessed with marine resources. However, with a large marine area and resources comes great responsibility that cannot be upheld by the country itself. Now, the most logical intersection of human trafficking and Jaegera's Blue Security Framework lies in the sea or large marine area, an area that is not under surveillance or protected 24/7. As one of the most pervasive transnational crimes, the intersection lies with the traffickers using maritime routes for people smuggling across borders. They take advantage of the weak maritime security. Now, this vulnerability is supported by MELPA 2024, stating that the inadequate capacity among police personnel and insecure borders have led to a rise in transnational crimes such as human trafficking and others. MELPA also discussed how PNG as a nation provides a favorable environment for a growth of transnational crimes. I will share with you three of these environments. Number one is weak governance. The absence of an enabling legislation creates an environment conducive for crimes without border. Number two is corruption. Transnational organized crimes can easily occur with the assistance of corrupt government officials, businessmen, and other individuals in authority. And the third one is improved technology. Technology serves as a tool to manipulate both the people and the government systems. Currently, criminal groups employ online technology for criminal activities, such as using fake social media accounts for coercion. Now, moving on, let us look more closely at the intersection of human trafficking and Jaegera's Blue Security Framework. The first intersection is the extremely poor and vulnerable surveillance and border control. I explained earlier that PNG's maritime borders are extensive and often very difficult to patrol. So not only is there lack of satellite surveillance, there is no regular patrols also because there is limited vessels to patrol the area. Hence the transportation of illegal and unregistered individuals and boats are transported without any detection. And in the required reading, Yegira mentioned that PNG does not have the capability and the capacity to manage regular surveillance or information gathering operations. He mentioned this is a way of outlining the current blue security situation in order to create the framework. And the second intersection is the lack of coordination. Now, in order to address human trafficking across national borders, there needs to be coordination and intelligence sharing. The issue and the framework intersect at the need for coordination because Yegira emphasized the importance of regional cooperation, something the issue needs in order to be addressed. And PNG needs help from Australia, New Zealand, and other island nations in order to effectively combat human trafficking. The third intersection is the need for effective legal framework. Now, it is common knowledge that marine laws in PNG exist. They exist to protect the country's resources. However, these laws do not address human trafficking alone as an issue. The Blue Security Framework advocates for a holistic whole-of-nation approach, something that needs to be done to address the issue fast. Furthermore, because PNG is an archipelagic state, traffickers can use its many islands and maritime borders to elude law enforcement. PNG faces difficulties in monitoring and controlling its maritime domain, which contributes to the smuggling problem. The rise in blue crimes such as drug smuggling and illegal fishing and human trafficking creates an environment where trafficking networks can operate with relative impunity. And illicit activities, they frequently go undetected due to, as I mentioned, the lack of effective maritime domain awareness and capabilities. So yes, traffickers do take advantage of this isolating nature of maritime work and frequently use fraudulent documentation and small unregistered vessels to avoid detection. Despite efforts to combat it, human trafficking at sea persists because of the lack of regulation and the limited enforcement. Moving on to part two, the question is, what measures can PNG adopt to safeguard its maritime borders against trafficking networks? So there are many measures that one can list, endless possibilities actually. However, we have chosen to present three of the most realistic solutions or recommendations. Number one is to pursue regional and international cooperation, as stated in the framework as well. So the most recurring setback with addressing human trafficking and other blue security concerns is the lack of capacity and capability by responsible authorities. Hence, PNG must pursue and deepen partnership with neighboring countries, regional organizations such as the PIF, or even international bodies such as Interpol. Now, this is a realistic recommendation because PNG, as I mentioned, is incapable of handling such issues effectively. Moving on to my second recommendation, community engagement. The most underrated measure that any country can take is the engagement of communities, especially the ones along the coastlines. If done correctly, these communities can play a significant role in both detecting and reporting trafficking activities. That is why it is important to have awareness campaigns through local engagement that teaches the locals to be the eyes and ears for law enforcement authorities. And this will definitely be a big help and in a realistic manner as well. To our last recommendation, it's vessel inspection. This is a simple activity that is required of us that fosters a safe place and allows port authorities to inspect foreign or domestic vessels for more detailing. This significantly improves port security, inspection systems, and crew member conduct. It may be that these little things can be the reason that crew members are moved along. This can be more achievable when enforcing an effective collaboration between responsible agencies, and all responsible agencies should work together to effectively fight against transnational crime, to strengthen national security. For the vessel inspection, it's mainly because sometimes human beings may be transported through container ships, and it's important to conduct inspection to make sure that the right type of goods and services goods are being transported back to our country and out of our country as well. So that is all for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Modi, and thank you, Group 6, for a very detailed answer. Uh, I hope you've taken note of what they've presented, and later on you can unpack and deconstruct what they've presented and go through and give your comments and your questions. Just one point to note for TNOC or Transnational Organized Crime. TNOC is the acronym now used. PNGs, if you look at the 2023 Global Crime Index, the one that we're using in the reading folder from 2021, PNGs ranked first or one in Oceania among 14 countries, and we ranked first in Melanesia among 4 countries, so and 63rd globally. So that means PNG, we have a lot of work to do. You people have a lot of work to do, future policymakers and leaders of this country. How can we not be ranked first in Oceania and first in Melanesia? What sort of mechanisms, processes, solutions can we come up with in order to combat TNOC or transnational organized crime? So that's something for you people to think about. Let's listen to Ms. Uro. Michael Uro will be representing group number 4.
Good morning, Mr. Yeager and class. I am representing Group 4. Today, I will be presenting a response to the following question. The index identifies non-renewable resource crimes and illegal fishing as significant challenges. How do these activities threaten PNG's blue security, as highlighted by Yeager, and what strategies can be implemented to protect marine resources from transnational criminal networks? Protecting Papua New Guinea's blue security, combating non-renewable resource crimes and illegal fishing. Papua New Guinea stands at a critical juncture in
Sorry, Michael, you think maybe the network or microphone? We'll give a few minutes to Michael to sort out the technical issue.
response to the following question. The index identifies non-renewable resource crimes and illegal fishing as significant challenges. How do these activities threaten PNG's blue security, as highlighted by Yeager, and what strategies can be implemented to protect marine resources from transnational criminal activities? Protecting Papua New Guinea's blue security, combating non-renewable resource crimes and illegal fishing. Papua New Guinea stands at a critical juncture in safeguarding its maritime resources, which are integral to its economic stability, environmental health, and national security. The nation's vast exclusive economic zone, EEZ, is rich in marine biodiversity and mineral wealth, making it a focal point for both legitimate and illicit activities. As highlighted by Yeager 2024, non-renewable resource crimes and illegal unreported and unregulated IUU fishing pose significant threats to PNG's blue security, a concept that intertwines maritime sovereignty with ecological and economic resilience. Understanding the threats to PNG's blue security. 1. Non-renewable resource crimes. Non-renewable resource crimes encompass illegal mining and the illicit extraction of minerals from PNG's extensive maritime and terrestrial domains. These activities often involve transnational criminal networks that exploit regulatory gaps and weak enforcement mechanisms. The environmental degradation resulting from such crimes not only diminishes biodiversity, but also undermines the livelihoods of communities dependent on these resources. Moreover, the loss of revenue from unregulated resource extraction impairs national development and exacerbates socioeconomic inequalities. The extraction of non-renewable resources also deprives the country of much needed revenue. Instead of contributing to national development, these criminal activities funnel wealth out of the country, weakening the economy. Furthermore, such crimes undermine PNG's governance systems and erode national security, as foreign criminal groups often operate with little oversight and limited accountability, posing a serious challenge to PNG's control over its marine territory, Yegira 2024. Two, illegal, unreported, and unregulated IUU fishing. IUU fishing is one of the most pressing threats to PNG's blue security. These activities include illegal fishing by foreign vessels operating without licenses, the underreporting of catches, and the use of destructive fishing techniques such as blast fishing or bottom trawling. According to the National Fisheries Authority (NFA), PNG's marine resources are at risk of depletion due to unregulated fishing practices that target recreative fish species like tuna and snapper, which are integral to both the economy and food security of coastal communities. The environmental impact of IUU fishing is severe as it leads to overfishing, depletion of fish stocks, and damage to marine ecosystems. Overfishing directly affects the livelihoods of local fishermen who rely on healthy fish populations for their income and food security. Furthermore, IUU fishing erodes the potential for sustainable development in the fishing sector, resulting in financial losses for PNG's fisheries, which are estimated to lose millions of dollars annually to illegal operations, the National 2021. The consequences of these illegal activities also extend to national security. As IUU fishing continues unchecked, it undermines PNG's sovereignty over its maritime borders and exposes the country to exploitation by foreign criminal organizations, Yegira 2024. These activities also weaken governance structure, making it more difficult for PNG to enforce laws and maintain control over its vast marine territories. Consequences of non-renewable resource crimes and IUU fishing. The consequences of non-renewable resource crimes and IUU fishing are multifaceted and far-reaching. These activities pose significant risks to PNG's environment, economy, and social stability. Environmental consequences. Illegal extraction of minerals and IUU fishing cause widespread damage to marine ecosystems. For instance, the use of destructive fishing practices and unregulated mining can lead to coral reef destruction, pollution, and biodiversity loss, which take decades to recover. These environmental damages compromise the sustainability of PNG's marine resources. Economic consequences. The economic impact is severe, with substantial financial losses stemming from the depletion of fish stocks and the illegal export of natural resources. Additionally, the local economy is undermined as the fishing industry and associated sectors such as tourism and processing suffer from the continued illegal activities. Social and political consequences. These illegal practices lead to social instability, displacement of communities, and food insecurity. Coastal communities that depend on sustainable marine resources for their livelihoods are especially vulnerable. Politically, illegal activities erode public trust in government institutions and may fuel corruption, further complicating efforts to address these threats. Strategies to protect PNG's marine resources. To address these challenges, a well-rounded and collaborative approach is needed. There are 4 strategies that I will be making mention of. 1. Strengthening monitoring, control, and surveillance, MCS. Enhancing MCS capabilities is paramount in combating IUU fishing. The National Fisheries Authority, NFA, has developed the Fishing Information Monitoring System, FIMS, a locally designed tool that provides real-time data on fishing activities within PNG's waters. This system enables the NFA to monitor vessels and enforce regulations more effectively. However, resource constraint and the vast expense of PNG's EEZ necessitate further investment in surveillance infrastructure, including satellite tracking systems and aerial patrols. 2. Legislative and policy reforms. Robust legal frameworks are essential for deterring illegal activities. PNG has taken significant steps by acceding to the Food and Agricultural Organization's Port State Measures Agreement, PSMA, which allows the country to deny port access to vessels engaged in IUU fishing post-Korea 2024. Additionally, the introduction of a domestication policy aims to ensure that all fish caught in PNG waters are processed locally, thereby retaining economic benefits within the country. Strengthening the enforcement of existing laws and introducing stricter penalties, violations will further bolster these efforts. 3. International cooperation. Given the transboundary nature of IUU fishing, regional collaboration is crucial. PNG's engagement with neighboring countries and international organizations such as the Pacific Islands Forum Fisheries Agency, FFA, and the Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission, WCPFC, facilitates information sharing, joint patrols, and coordinated responses to illegal activities. These partnerships enhance PNG's capacity to monitor and protect its maritime resources effectively. 4. Community engagement and capacity building. Empowering local communities to participate in marine resource management fosters a sense of ownership and responsibility. Community-based surveillance programs supported by training and resources enable residents to report illegal activities and contribute to sustainable fishing practices. Additionally, capacity building with local law enforcement agencies ensure that they are equipped to address maritime security challenges effectively. To conclude, the threats of illegal fishing and non-renewable resource crimes go far beyond environmental concerns. They strike at the heart of PNG's economic future and national sovereignty. Protecting our blue security requires all of us, government, communities, and international partners, to work together towards sustainable and effective solutions. As Segera 2024 emphasizes, a united strategic approach is key to ensuring the long-term health and security of Papua New Guinea's marine resources. Thank you, and that's all from Group 4.
Thank you, Ms. Uro, and thank you, Group 4, for sharing with us your answer to the assigned question. We'll move on to the next presenter. Representing Group 3, we have Mr. Marcus.
Good morning, Mr. Yeager and fellow students. So without any delay, let me get you through the presentation. So the question or statement that was given to us is both the index and Yeager's blue security policy framework stress the need for regional response to traditional threats. The question, how can PNG leverage its partnership with neighboring state to combat organized crime in its maritime domain, and what role does blue security play in fostering such collaboration? So there is 2 questions in that particular statement. So today I will be discussing how Papua New Guinea can effectively leverage its regional partnership to combat organized crime in its maritime domain, and the role Bennett Regular blue security framework plays in fostering this collaboration. And the role it plays in fostering this collaboration. We will also explore So we also will explore the findings from Global Crime Index 2021 and how they emphasize the need for coordinated regional response to traditional crime threats. So before we go to answer these 2 questions, let me give you an overview of the 2 framework itself. So the first framework is the Global Organized Crime Index 2021 and 2021. It stated that the Global Organized Crime Index, developed by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Crime, assess the level of organized crime in countries and regions. The index ranks countries based on the severity of organized crime threats, evaluates factors such as impact of criminal activities on governance, security, and society. It highlights the need for regional cooperation and collective action in combating transnational organized crime. So the central premise is that no nation, especially one in a geographical complex and interconnected region like the Pacific, can effectively address organized crime alone, given that the criminal networks often span multiple borders. It is essential for neighboring countries to collaborate on securing border sharing intelligence and coordinating effort. So to the Yeager Blue Security Framework, and an overview of it, Bennett Regular Blue Security Framework offers a strategic approach to maritime security, focusing on collaborating among countries, particularly in regions vulnerable to maritime crime. So the framework stresses the need for collective regional response to maritime security challenges such as piracy, illegal fishing, human trafficking, and the partnership and integrated approach to maritime governance to address these national threats. So this framework encourages joint law enforcement efforts, the creation of that data sharing mechanism, and the development of collaborative legal and policy to enhance the security shared maritime space. So in summary of these two framework, Papua New Guinea faces significant challenge in combating organized crime, particularly in its maritime domain, due to its strategic geographical location and the presence of cross-border criminal syndicates. So the Global Organized Crime Index 2021 underscored the need for regional response to transnational threats, while Blue Security Framework offers a practical framework to address these challenges. So it emphasizes the importance of collaborations, especially within the Pacific region, in combating organized crime through coordinated efforts and shared intelligence and regional partnership. So to the first question, how can PNG leverage its partnership with neighboring Pacific states to combat organized crime in its maritime domain? So PNG can leverage of regional partnership to combat maritime organized crime. It can focus on 5 key focus areas. Number 1 is regional cooperation in law enforcement. By saying that, it means PNG can leverage its partnership with neighboring Pacific states such as Australia, Fiji, the Solomon Islands, and Vanuatu to improve its law enforcement capabilities. So by engaging in multilateral efforts through organizations like the Pacific Island Forum and the Pacific Transnational Crime Network, PNG can share intelligence, resources, and expertise with its neighbors. So collaborative law enforcement operation, including joint patrols, surveillance, and intelligence sharing, would strengthen the collective ability of Pacific nations to disrupt organized crime syndicates that exploit the maritime domain. For example, in 2018, the Pacific Island Forum Fisheries Agency partnered with Papua New Guinea and other Pacific states to launch a coordinated operation aimed to curbing illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing in the Pacific. So this collaboration shows how shared intelligence and joint enforcement actions helped combat illegal fishing operations, which are often linked to organized crime syndicate. To the second key focus area is joint maritime patrols and surveillance. So PNG is geographical vast with extensive maritime boundaries, making it difficult to monitor and control activity in its waters. PNG can work with neighboring countries to conduct joint maritime patrols. Shared resources such as ship, aircraft, and personnel would allow for more frequent and comprehensive monitoring of PNG waters and the large Pacific maritime zone. For example, countries like Australia already have substantial maritime security capabilities and could assist PNG in surveillance operations to detect and intercept illegal activities such as piracy, smuggling, and illegal fishing. To the third focus area is strengthening maritime law enforcement capacity. It means PNG can benefit from its partnership through capacity building, training programs, technical assistance, and support from regional security partners like Australia and New Zealand can help improve PNG ability to combat crime in maritime domain. So this includes improving PNG coastal surveillance, upgrading its border security infrastructure, and enhancing the training of law enforcement officers in modern crime fighting techniques. So to the fourth key focus area is information sharing and intelligence network. So effective information sharing is crucial in combating transnational organized crime, especially in the maritime domain, where criminals often operate across borders. By engaging with regional intelligence networks like the Pacific Transnational Crime Network and participating in international crime database, PNG can enhance its ability to track criminal syndicates, identify trends, and share actionable intelligence with neighboring states. These collaborations are vital for early detection and coordinated actions against criminal activities. To the last key focus area, regional policy alignment and legal coordination. So regional efforts to combat organized crime are more effective when countries align their policies and legal framework. PNG can work with Pacific neighbors to enhance laws and regulations related to maritime security, such as anti-smuggling and anti-piracy laws. So through mechanisms such as mutual legal assistance treaties, PNG can facilitate extradition of criminals and cooperation of judicial system across borders, making it easier to prosecute offenders who operate across multi-jurisdiction. Multi-jurisdiction. To the second question in the statement itself, what role does blue security play in fostering such collaboration as mentioned earlier? So the role of blue security in fostering regional cooperation, as Jaguar Blue Security Framework plays, it plays a pivotal role in fostering collaboration between Pacific states, particularly in the context of combating organized crime in the maritime domain. So there's also 5 key focus areas that we're going to look at. Number 1 is regional cooperation and collective action. So Blue Security advocates for a collective security approach where neighboring countries work together to address shared maritime threats. It emphasized the need for coordinated multilateral responses to organize crime rather than unilateral actions. So PNG can utilize the framework to encourage regional agreement and to promote shared responsibility for security in the Pacific maritime space. So by utilizing the Blue Security, PNG can engage in joint security framework with the Pacific neighbors. This framework allows for shared patrols, intelligence exchange, and coordinated enforcement activities, all of which are necessary to fight networks that exploit the transnational nature of maritime crime. To the second key focus area, building trust through collaboration. So trust and cooperation are central to success of the Blue Security Framework. So the framework encourages confidence building measures and the development of mutual trust among Pacific nations, which can be critical in addressing security challenges. By using the principle of Blue Security, PNG can work to foster stronger partnership with its neighbors, ensuring that collaborative efforts to combat organized crime are built on a foundation of trust and transparency. To the third focus area, build layered security solution. So Blue Security promotes multi-layered security solution, which combine efforts at national, regional, and international level. So this approach is critical for Papua New Guinea, as it involves not only local maritime law enforcement, but also international partnership with organizations like the United Nations Office in Drugs and Crime and the Australian Federal Police. So through Blue Security, PNG can align its national security strategies with regional and international efforts, thus ensuring that all aspects of maritime security are addressed. To our fourth key focus area is sustainability and long-term solution. A key features of Blue Security is its focus on sustainable security. So solutions that address the root cause of crime, such as poverty, inequality, and weak governance. By fostering community-based security programs and development initiatives across the region, PNG can only counteract organized crime in the short term, but also reduce the social and economic conditions that allow such crime to flourish. So blue security encourages holistic solution, combining security with development, thereby addressing both immediate threats and long-term structural issues. So our last key focus area is climate change and environmental security. So blue security also integrates environmental security with maritime security. As climate change continues to affect the Pacific region, it could exacerbate maritime crime by triggering displacement and increasing competition for resources. So blue security encourages a comprehensive security approach that includes responding to environment challenges. So PNG and its neighbor can collaborate under the framework to develop strategies that address both environmental sustainability and crime prevention in maritime domain. To conclude, Papua New Guinea can significantly enhance its efforts to combat organized crime in its maritime domain by leveraging partnership with its neighboring Pacific state. Regional cooperation through joint law enforcement, information sharing, and capacity building initiative will help address the transnational nature of maritime crime. So Jaguar Blue Security Framework provides a structured approach for fostering this collaboration, focusing on collective action, trust building, and multi-layered security solutions. By adapting the principle of blue security, PNG and its neighbors can create a more secure and resilient maritime environment that combat organized crime while promoting long-term sustainability and regional stability. Thank you.
Thank you, Group 3 and Mr. Marcus, for a very detailed answer to the given questions. We really appreciate your contribution to our discussion, and I hope all of you have taken note of the points shared. We'll move on to our next presenter. We'll have Ms. Vogel, then Ms. Inangui, and we'll conclude with Mr. Torovi. So, Ms. Vogel, please go ahead, representing Group 7.
Thank you, Mr. Yagira. Please confirm if you guys can hear me. Once again, good morning, Mr. Yagira and my fellow colleagues. I am Novatina Vogel, and I will be representing Group 7 for this seminar presentation. Our allocated question reads, the index highlights the importance of resilience in combating transnational crime. How does Yagira's emphasis on improving PNG's maritime law enforcement capacity align with the need to build institutional resilience to deter organized crime in maritime zones? Our required reading is taken from Mr. Yagira's chapter titled Papua New Guinea, which was published in 2024 in the book Blue Security in the Indo-Pacific. This chapter discusses PNG's maritime security challenges and the concept of blue security in the context of transnational crime. I will answer the question in two specific parts as outlined in the question. The first part, I will provide a brief context on Mr. Yagira's emphasis on improving PNG's maritime law enforcement capacity. And the second is on the discussion of how this aligns with the need to build institutional resilience to deter organized crime in maritime zones. Now, part one of the discussion. Yagira 2024 emphasizes that improving PNG's maritime law enforcement capacity to conduct regular patrols and operations in its territorial seas and EEZ based on surveillance and intelligence operations. He gave the example of Budi Budi Island near the border with Solomon Islands, where there was no Royal PNG Constabulary officer on the island, and that the nearest police base was in the provincial capital of Alotau, which is about 370 kilometers away. At that time, Alotau's base had only 40 officers responsible for covering 600 atolls. This situation highlights the inadequacy of personnel to managing PNG's vast maritime space effectively. Additionally, it showcased that PNG's Defense Force maritime elements limited the ability to patrol and safeguard the country's maritime domain. Now, Mr. Yegura proposed strategies to improve PNG's maritime law enforcement capacity, which included three implementation strategies. The first one was to coordinate and strengthen security and law enforcement across the country. 2 is to strengthen and adequately fund the PNG Defense Force and PNG Customs Services to robustly address smuggling of small arms, light weapons, and other contraband goods. And the third is to build the capacity of immigration and citizenship services to effectively address irregular or illegal immigration. Moving on to the second part of this discussion, the alignment of institutional resilience to deter organized crime in maritime zones. So to answer how Mr. Yegura's proposal align with the need to build institutional resilience to tackle these organized crimes in maritime zones, let's first consider the context provided by experts in the field. So MITLA 2024 states that Papua New Guinea provides a favorable environment for the growth of transnational crimes or transnational criminal activities. Furthermore, MELPA 2024 adds on stating that PNG is vulnerable to maritime piracy due to its extensive coastline and large EEZ. The open sea borders of PNG make it prone to transnational criminal activities, including maritime piracy. Now, Mr. Yegura's strategies to improve PNG's maritime law enforcement directly addresses these vulnerabilities by focusing on capacity building within PNG's security and enforcement agencies. By strengthening and adequately funding the PNG Defense Force and Customs Services, the ability to patrol PNG's maritime zone is significantly advanced, or it has enhanced. This approach directly contributes to institutional resilience in 4 ways. The first is through increased capacity for patrols and operations. With adequate funding, agencies can acquire essential tools such as patrol boats, surveillance systems, communication equipment, and advanced technology. These tools are crucial for monitoring and detecting illegal activities, such as smuggling, human trafficking, and piracy. Enhanced patrol capacities enable faster responses to criminal activity, making it more difficult for transnational criminal organizations to operate within or with impunity. The second is in regards to the recruitment and training of personnel. Again, with adequate funding, it also allows for the recruitment and training of skilled personnel, where with the right personnel, PNG Maritime Security can focus on better monitoring the extensive and often remote maritime zones. So this recruitment of additional officers will ensure that there is a larger and more effective law enforcement presence across the country's vast maritime domain. Third is in regards to the coordination and collaborations between the agencies that we have in PNG. So Yegura's strategy fosters better information sharing and joint operation. He stated that with law enforcement inter-agencies collaboration, this is crucial for building institutional resilience, as it helps to prevent the fragmentation of efforts and ensure that a united and unified front is in order to combating these crimes. And lastly is in regard to the effective immigration management. By strengthening the capacity of immigration and citizenship services, it ensures that irregular migration, often linked to organized criminal networks, is effectively managed. So criminal groups that exploit along the borders can be stopped and their operations can be disrupted by better immigration enforcement. So in conclusion, Yegura's emphasis on improving PNG's maritime law enforcement capacity is directly aligned with building institutional resilience to combat the organized crime in PNG's maritime zones. So by enhancing our country's law enforcement capabilities, increasing the coordination among agencies and addressing critical gaps in our patrols and surveillance and immigration control, PNG can better respond to transnational criminal activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Group 7, and thank you, Ms. Vogel, for representing the group. We'll move on to our next presenter, representing Group 2, Ms. Inangui.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yegura. Can you all confirm if you can hear me? Good morning to you all. So our reading is derived from chapter 13 of the book titled Blue Security in the Indo-Pacific Region, written by Mr. Yegura. Under the topic Transnational Crimes in PNG, my group was assigned with the question, I will read now. The index highlights the role of state-embedded actors in facilitating organized crime. How does this form of criminality undermine PNG's ability to implement effective blue security policies, as discussed by Yegura, and what governance reforms are needed to address these challenges? So in order to answer this question, I will first define what state-embedded actors are. So state-embedded actors are state actors are officially recognized entities that have governing authority over a specific territory. State actors are officially recognized entities that have governing authority over a specific territory or population. They have the power to enter into treaties, engage in diplomacy, and use military force, whereas state-embedded actors refer to criminal actors within a state's political or administrative structures who enable criminal activities to flourish. As stated in the Organized Crime Index report of 2021, state-embedded actors are the most dominant criminal actor types in the world. So the degree to which crime and corruption seeps into state institution varies from low-level corruption to full state capture. I will now state the strategic approaches to defend maritime interest as highlighted from our required reading. So in his chapter, Yegura highlighted that there are three key blue security interests of Papua New Guinea, which are ensuring a safe and secure PNG, being a good maritime neighbor, and being a caring and maritime nation. So under each of these national interests, objectives that are needed to be achieved in order to defend Papua New Guinea's maritime interests. Now, I will go through the following. So under ensuring a safe and secure PNG, there are three objectives. The first is protecting its exclusive economic zones. The second is strengthening maritime law enforcement. And the third is enhancing maritime domain awareness. Now, under the second national interest, which is being a good maritime neighbor, there are two objectives. So the first is safeguarding maritime borders, and the second is promoting regional cooperation. And for the third national interest, being a caring and healthy maritime nation, there is only one objective, which is addressing environmental and humanitarian concerns. Now, moving on to the first part of the question, which is how does this form of criminality undermine PNG's ability to implement effective blue security policies? So state-embedded actors facilitate organized crime, which poses several challenges. I've listed down three. So the first is corruption and collusion. So state-embedded actors often engage in corruption and collusion with criminal networks. This disrupts the enforcement of maritime laws and regulations, making it difficult to combat illegal activities such as illegal fishing, drug trafficking, and smuggling. The second is resource diversion. So resources intended for maritime security and law enforcement are diverted for personal gain by corrupt officials, which could lead to inadequate funding and support for criminal maritime operations, reducing the effectiveness of patrols and surveillance. And the third being intelligence compromise. So the state-embedded actors can compromise intelligence operations by leaking information to criminal networks, which could hinder efforts to gather and act on intelligence, making it difficult to detect and prevent organized crime activities in PNG's maritime domain. Moving on to the second part of the question, what governance reforms are needed to address these challenges? So from the reading, we have highlighted two major reforms the government needs to perform in order to address blue security issues, and they are as follows. The first being, as highlighted by Yagira, the Department of Foreign Affairs does not have a Foreign Service Act and an updated foreign policy white paper. Hence, PNG is currently pursuing its security relations without a clear written foreign policy framework that serves its national interests. Now, the government needs to formulate and approve an updated foreign policy white paper to guide international security relations and partnerships to address issues related to capacity building, intelligence gathering, and other blue security challenges. Once the foreign policy white paper is established, it will determine the type of legislation, policies, and plans formulated by departments and agencies in all other security and non-security sectors. And the second, highlighted in the reading, is to transform the Office of Security Coordination and Assessment into the National Security Agency. This will allow for coordination among sector agencies and the effective implementation of the national security policy. So this change has not happened since 2013 and has contributed to an uncoordinated approach to managing national security. Now, other developments the government should make to address blue security challenges include the following. Firstly, I've listed down four, and firstly, the government should also implement strong anti-corruption measures, including stricter oversight and accountability mechanisms for public officials. This will reduce corruption and will ensure that resources are used effectively for maritime security and that law enforcement can operate without interference. The second is to increase transparency in government operations and establish independent bodies to monitor and report on activities of state actors. This will deter state-embedded actors from engaging in criminal activities and ensure that maritime security policies are implemented effectively. The third is to invest in advanced intelligence and surveillance technologies and train personnel to use them effectively. This will improve the detection and prevention of organized criminal activities, even in the presence of state-embedded actors. And finally, the last point is to strengthen partnerships with regional and international organizations to share intelligence and best practices. This can provide additional resources and support to counteract the influence of state-embedded actors. So all of this would help build resilience against transnational crimes and contribute to the country's national security as a whole. Thank you, and this brings me to the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Sinangui, and thank you, Group 2, for sharing with us your answers to the assigned question. We will now move on to our final presenter, Mr. Torovi, to conclude.
Okay. Can you all hear me? Please confirm that you can hear me. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Yagira and class. I believe Torovi will be presenting on behalf of Group 5. The question statement given is the index discusses the influence of organized criminal networks in undermining state stability. How does Yagira concept of blue security address the challenges posed by criminal networks operating in Papua New Guinea exclusive economic zone? And what role does regional cooperation play in mitigating these threats? Two key themes derived from the topic. The first one is organized criminal networks. Organized criminal networks are billion-dollar business operating in many crime areas. As a general rule, organized criminal networks are involved in many different types of criminal activities spanning several countries. These activities may include trafficking in people, drugs, illicit goods, and weapons. With revenues estimated in The billions, the criminal enterprises closely resemble those of legitimate international businesses. They have operating models, long-term strategies, hierarchies, and even strategic alliance, all serving the same purpose: to generate the profit with the least amount of risk. And the second term is state stability. A state stability is the ability of the state to maintain its structure and function over time, resisting external pressures or internal challenges. Stable states are characterized by government capacity, legitimacy, a legal or rational state, democracy and human rights, and the development and economy. Now to the first question, how does Yegiora's concept of blue security address the challenges posed by criminal networks operating in Papua New Guinea's exclusive economic zone? A critical review of how Pacific Island nations, including PNG, handle the difficulties of marine security is provided by Yegiora's blue security concept. Papua New Guinea's exclusive economic zone, one of the biggest in the Pacific, is constantly threatened by organized crime groups engaged in environmental crimes, smuggling, transnational trafficking, and illegal fishing. In addition to depleting important marine resources, these illegal actions also jeopardize national sovereignty, degrade governance systems, and weaken state institutions. By acknowledging the connection between ocean governance, economic sustainability, and human security, Yegiora's 2021 concept of the blue security expands our understanding of security. It emphasizes how transnational maritime assets are and how one state cannot adequately handle them on its own. Collective action is required since organized criminal networks take advantage of the ocean size, lax enforcement, and jurisdictional differences among Pacific Island countries. Yegiora's concept of blue security addresses these challenges by emphasizing on these points. The first point is maritime domain awareness. Improving surveillance and understanding of activities across PNG waters. This includes investment in technologies like radar, satellites, drones, and information sharing to track suspicious vessels and activities. The second point is integrated law enforcement, coordinating the Navy, police, customs, and fisheries authorities to work together rather than operating in towers. This makes response to threats more effective. The third point is capacity building, training local security forces to detect, intercept, and prosecute criminal activities in the maritime space. The fourth point is legal frameworks, strengthening maritime laws so that Papua New Guinea can better prosecute organized criminal actors operating in its exclusive economic zone. And the last point is community engagement, involving coastal communities who often are the first to witness illegal activities, turning them into first responders or intelligence sources for national security forces. Moving on to the second part of the question, what role does regional cooperation play in mitigating these threats? In order to mitigate these dangers, the blue security model relies heavily on regional cooperation. Through coordinated surveillance, intelligence sharing, joint patrols, and capacity building, organizations like the Pacific Island Forum Fisheries Agency and programs like the Pacific Maritime Security Program assist Pacific states according to Smith and Davis 2020. These partnerships assist small island nations such as Papua New Guinea in identifying and dismantling criminal networks that function within several exclusive economic zones. Furthermore, researchers like Hare and Begin 2011 emphasized that combating organized crime requires improving regional marine domain awareness through common technology like satellite monitoring and maritime patrol aircraft. Pacific states can monitor suspicious activity together and respond more efficiently thanks to real-time information provided by the tools like the regional surveillance better. To conclude, therefore, a comprehensive framework for addressing the intricate dangers posed by the organized criminal networks in Papua New Guinea's maritime spaces is provided by the Jaegera's Blue Security Concept, which is further supported by regional initiatives and technology collaboration. The Pacific area can better safeguard its maritime resources and preserve state stability by fostering regional cooperation, exercising shared sovereignty in enforcement actions, and making consistent investment in maritime governance. Thank you, and that's all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Torovi and your group, group number 5. This brings us to the end of our seminar for today, seminar 9, and we've listened to all our 7 presenters, Mrs. Kintao, Mr. Torovi, Ms. Galele, Ms. Uro, Mr. Marcus, Ms. Vogel, and Ms. Inangui. And I hope all of you have taken note of what they have presented. I would like to thank them as well as their group for taking the time to read the readings provided and also to sit down and do your analysis and put together your answers to share with us. I know it's time consuming. We have a lot of other work to do, but you've taken this time to sit down and go through and provide detailed answers, and we appreciate your time and effort. So we'll stop here, but important points to note. Our EEZ is bigger than our landmass, like I've shared with you. Our landmass is only 462,840 compared to our land territory compared to our EEZ, which is 2.4 million square kilometers. So that means it's massive compared to our land territory. So that's why we need to polish it properly and make sure that we address all these transnational criminal issues that are rising. And these issues are funded and organized by transnational criminal actors. For example, the Mexican cartel. You've heard of them or watched them on television or on movies, and now they're literally moving our seas and transporting their products across our Great Pacific Ocean and using PNG as a transit point as well. So that's something that you people should be concerned about. And also, if you refer back to our ranking, the 2023 ranking, organized crime index, we are first among 14 countries in Oceania in the Pacific, and first among 4 countries in Melanesia, so and 63rd globally. So that's really alarming statistics that all of you should take note of. And like we have discussed, it's a team effort, collaborative. Regionally, we can work together, but individually, at the state level or community level, we need to work with our coastal communities and everyone. It's everyone's business, not only the police or the defense or national intelligence or fisheries, NFA. All of us need to work together to address this threat that will really severely affect our country if we do not address and find workable solutions. So that's all. Thank you all for your participation, and we'll move on to our final seminar next week, seminar 10. It will be a continuation of our discussion on transnational organized crimes or transnational crimes. So that's all. Thank you through the time, the patience, new plan. We'll see you again. We have a guest lecture on Friday, but the lecturer is yet to confirm, or our guest is yet to confirm. Our guest will be the acting director for the Pacific Fusion Center in Vanuatu, Port Vila, Mr. Bovoro. And he's yet to confirm he's a former Fiji military officer and he's in security and intelligence. So he's the current acting director for the Pacific Fusion Center, which was formed by Australia and other Pacific Island countries. So by Friday. So I'll confirm and then let you people know. But apart from that, thank you very much for attendance and apologies for going over time. You all have a great day and see you again next week. So bye for now.